All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. As always, technology is hard. Um, I pressed countdown. We had countdown music going. I was dancing. It was fun. And then I realized I hadn't gone live. So hopefully we're live now. I'll wait for some people to join. In today's video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the state of the market for house flippers and some challenges they're seeing. I talked to a couple buddies who flip homes in the Sacramento area because Sacramento made this top 5 list of hardest hit markets for home flippers. And I'll go through some of those stats and talk about that here shortly. Next week, they're going to actually join me. So we're going to be talking real estate, talking house flipping, do's, don'ts, and some of the, minutia. I'll get some questions answered that I might not necessarily know if I'm not necessarily in the grind that is house flipping in these markets. So anyhow, title of today's video and kind of the theme for it is, home flippers losing money. The stat came out 1 in 7 home flippers losing money. Home flipper being defined by Redfin as a purchase and a sale within 9 months. And so you can generally assume if someone's going to buy something and sell it within 9 months, that's a home flipper. Truth be told, some of it takes even longer. So some of the stuff's, some of the flips might not even be captured in this data. But nonetheless, I'll get to some of this data that probably will shock you because it shocked me. The Phoenix, Arizonas, the Las Vegas, Nevadas, the Sacramento, Californias, Jacksonville, Floridas, Charlotte, North Carolina. Those are the top 5 where investors lost the most. And maybe lost the most isn't the proper way to state it. Lost the most often, meaning in Phoenix, Arizona, if you bought and sold within a 9-month period, the March data shows that 30.7%, almost 1 in 3. Home sellers, investors, flippers, that segment, bought and sold in 9 months, lost money 30.7% of the time. That is bonkers. I'm going to pull this up real quick. What's up, Mr. Chad Curtin? Hope all is well, brother. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you. Kevin Hawthorne, loyal fan. I appreciate you, man, down in Florida. Keep up the good work. I appreciate all the support, all the kind words, all that stuff. As always, this is a live Q&A. So if you have any questions related to housing, mortgage, and you want advice from somebody who's seeing, talking, breathing, I was thinking about it today. I'm probably taking in 3 hours of mortgage and real estate related content daily so that I can get better. I'm also probably having 2 to 3 hours of conversations, whether that's agent, prospective buyer, past client. But the bulk of my day is either studying, learning, getting better, or having conversations about the current state of the market, what we see going forward and whatnot. So I feel like all of that gives me a pretty good boots on the ground knowledge of what's happening in real estate, not just in California where I'm based and we're writing loans, but we're also writing loans in Texas, Florida, Tennessee. I've got partners from across UMortgage that I'm talking with daily who are closing loans in Ohio, in Utah, in Colorado, in Arizona, all over the country, right? So fire away any questions, comments, concerns. Feel free to reach out to me and my team if you have any questions about any of this stuff. But long and short of it, I'm seeing a lot of stuff every single day. So I'm going to have some insight. So here's the article put out by Yahoo where it talks about, I think higher up in the article, like the stat was something like 13.5%. Roughly 1 in 7 homes that sold in March, if they were bought and sold within a 9-month period, so you considered it an investor, 13.5% lost money. And then if like you looked at last month's data, that number was even higher, 14.5%. And they contrasted that to the lowest recorded monthly reading of 2.8% in May of 2022. A lot of things go into this, and I'll tell you my take because I'm around real estate every single day. In May of 2022, if you sold that month, you had low rates. Rates were still 3s, 4s. You had the spring buying season. You had all this demand and very little supply. You could have done a lot of things wrong and still made money in May of 2022. Because if you sold it then, it means you probably bought it Q4 of 21, Q1 of 22, and you had the, 1.5%, 2% per month home price appreciation as a tailwind. So you could make a $10,000 error on repair costs. You could make a $20,000 error on after repair value. You could do a lot of things wrong and still win. So no doubt that May 2022 sale, hardly nobody, 2.8% lost money. So when we talk about where are the homes most likely to sell at a loss, it makes sense that the markets with the most tailwind, with the 30-40% home price appreciation year on year, at least over a couple pandemic years, those ones that are, correcting quickly. And by correcting quickly, I've used this example and analogy for people. If you're going up at a 25% annualized clip in home price appreciation, and then you go straight to zero, that feels like a sharp right turn because it is. Sacramento and some other markets that I know rather intimately, from May of 22 till now, May of 23, we've probably got year-over-year home price depreciation, 2, 3, 5%. I'm not talking anything major, all intents and purposes flat. But to go from the massive double-digit home price appreciation to flat is a sharp right turn. So those markets where you don't have the benefit of appreciation, you've got low inventory. There's a home in Sacramento, and this is an example of what low inventory does. There's nothing for sale, sub 300,000. So when something gets listed for 299,000, you know what happens? You get 60 offers. And some of these flips, as they became more scarce, because home sales in general were more scarce, people were paying more on the front end for these deals. And so, of course, they're losing money, right? They paid 30 or 40,000 more than they wanted to on the front. They might have spent, what they predicted in rehab or maybe a little bit more. And then on the exit, the after repair value, the market had flattened or even gone down 2 or 3%. So they weren't getting as much. So here's the stats for people that like looking at stats. The hardest hit market was Phoenix. 30.7% of homes sold by investors lost money. Las Vegas number was 28%. Jacksonville was 20.9%. Sacramento, California, my beloved hometown of Sac, 20.2%. And Charlotte, North Carolina, 17.4%. So what's the lesson here? If you are an inexperienced home flipper, we're going to talk to a couple experienced ones next week, not the best time to be out there flipping. I think the bottom of this article shows these other markets are on the other side of the spectrum, right? What's up, Mr. Ryan Lundquist? Shout out to Ryan Lundquist at SacramentoAppraisalBlog.com. That's where I saw somewhere on his socials about the 60 offers on that 299 home. Tell me if you could, Ryan, what I haven't seen it. I don't even know what area it's in, but just some general stuff about the home that got 60 offers. 299 anywhere in and around Sacramento must be not the finest neighborhood and not the best condition. That's just my guess, because something, at that price has to be one or both of those things. But here's the markets that investors didn't lose in. Virginia Beach, Virginia, 1.7% of homes sold by investors were at a loss. West Palm Beach, Miami, and Fort Lauderdale, which is funny, 3 out of the 5 were Florida, meaning there's a lot of demand in Florida. whether that's, New York and others coming down or others relocating to Florida, who knows, but the stuff is selling. Are the flippers smarter? Are the people making better decisions that are investing there? Or is it just that, the market's still got a little tailwind because of relocations? Yeah, I agree with you 1,000%, Ryan, when you say the iBuyer model has struggled. And if you've got if you've got a mom and pop type flipper going out there and trying to flip versus, it means they got this deal and they got it for more than some of these other flippers that do 50, 60, 80 flips a year were willing to pay. So they already paid more for it than those others were willing to pay. They don't have the economies of scale that some of these flippers that do a lot, I just know it, right? They're buying enough flooring for 15 homes at a time. They're buying stuff at a discount because they're buying more of it. They've probably got crews and construction costs that are less than the mom and pop investor. So their rehab costs are going to be less. With all that factoring in, you've got to think that being a mom and pop flipper right now has got to be really hard unless you are able to find an off-market deal. See, this is the crazy part, Ryan. La Riviera, I know the area very well. 42 years of my life, otherwise known as my whole life, has been in College Glen. And so part of that is just a pricing gimmick, in my opinion. Because I don't think it's a condo, right? It wasn't one of those condos on La Riv. I'm going to have to look up 95826, see what exactly we're looking at. We going to see Joey Garessi. He wants to know the $1 million question, right? He wants to know who's winning the NBA title this year. Since it's not going to be the Sacramento Kings, it won't be his Oklahoma City Thunder. Suns was a backup squad I was rooting for because of my buddy Ish. So now we've got a Western Conference Finals making up the Lakers and the Denver Nuggets. I can't ever root for the Lakers as a Sacramento Kings fan and a Northern California guy. You don't ever root for the Los Angeles Lakers ever. So they're out. So Denver's coming out of the West, Joey. Then in the East, we got the underdog Miami Heat against the Boston Celtics. I got a good buddy who's a Celtics fan. I saw him at the Kings Celtics game, and man, in that game, the Celtics were next level. They just looked good. If Tatum plays like he played in Game 7, dropping 51, they're going to smoke the Miami Heat and make it to the finals. So the likely outcome is Celtics Nuggets finals. And I'm going to be rooting for the Celtics. That would be a close, good series, though. It's going to be a good matchup. I know you wouldn't bet against the Joker and the Nuggets. It's probably good. All right. Let me see if I can find this bad boy, Ryan. It's already gone pending, but whereabouts was it at $299? I don't see it listed. Anyhow, we'll find that one later. I'll have you send it to me because you're right. Like anything in 95826 on that La Riviera side, especially, is going to be priced at or like 500 to 550. So the fact that it was listed at $299 was a marketing gimmick, or I don't know. They just wanted to create that madness, maybe. Who knows? We'll see. Mr. Hussein, how's it going, brother? Thanks for joining. I appreciate you. Shout out to Chad. He actually used the accent mark over the E. Matt Gouget. Oui, monsieur. Did very, very well. All right. Rates, nothing special today. People always want to know about mortgage rates. They're nice and flat. Without even looking at Mortgage News Daily, it's going to say something like 6.6, in 6.5 and 6.6. I haven't even looked today. It's been such a busy Monday to see what exactly is happening. I will tell you that if you want to sell fear, and I'm not the one to do it, so don't ask me. But they're talking about if the U.S. gets closer and closer to defaulting on their debt. I saw an article today about mortgage rates, getting to the mid-8s because of all the things that would happen to, faith in U.S. economy and faith in banking and whatnot. Oh, there we go. 6.67 today is, so it's slightly worse. I thought it was pretty flat today. I didn't think that rates were necessarily worse, but a little bit, tad bit, huh? That reminds me. Got to respond to somebody. Janet Yellen's been, oh no, I was thinking of, who was I thinking of? The one from CNBC. Fear from Janet Yellen, but also from Diana Olick. Diana Olick's a great one on CNBC. She's literally been saying that the housing market's going to crash for 10 straight years. I think she said something positive about the housing market recently, and it always throws people off when the people who are constantly screaming crash say something positive about the housing market, but 'tis what it is. Yes. All right, Jay Homeboy. Thank you so much for sharing, man. This is the good stuff. I love, if you've got stuff like this, feel free to share it as much as you want on this channel because I love hearing about people winning. It fills me up. I just snap to it right now, Jay Homeboy. When prayer becomes your lifestyle, miracles become your lifestyle. I have an amazing wife, kid, and dog. Happy Mother's Day yesterday to the wifey, Jay Homeboy. I celebrated my beautiful wife. Me and the boys took her on a bay cruise in San Francisco because mom duty is the hardest duty of all the duty. Your birthday last week. Happy belated birthday to you, Jay Homeboy. Closing on your home in June. Congrats on that. That's always a fun life event. And then expecting another child early January. If you're expecting in early January, that's something you just found about recently because that takes, a few months to cook in there. So congratulations, man. I love hearing about all the wins. Let us know where you're buying. And is it a resale home or is it a new build? And you know what I'd love to hear, Jay Homeboy, because I know I see you on here and I see in the comments. I appreciate the support. I'd love to know what went into your decision. Obviously, it's a lifestyle thing. You've got a wife, you got a kid, you got a dog, you got another kid on the way. So lifestyle plays into your purchasing decisions. But what other things did you go through when kind of deciding on buying a home? Good, bad, and ugly, right? I love to hear the buyer psychology of man, the $3,300 payment scared the heck out of me. But I also know that I'm going to, get extra diligent and working overtime and other things. Now that I buy a home, less spillage and kind of wasting of money over here. I don't know. All these things I'd love to hear about just because it interests me. If you want to share it here, awesome. If you prefer to just fire me something at team@mtmg.com, that works too. Eccentric. Can you please elaborate on the no doc mortgage, no income verification needed? Are the rates higher? Yes, of course they're higher. Mortgage is simple. The more risk and the less documentation, the higher the interest rate, the higher the fees. Owner occupied, conventional financing, FHA financing, the vanilla stuff, best rates. You're buying an investment property, it's viewed as slightly higher risk. Those rates are higher. If you're buying something based on the debt to service DSCR type loan, that comes at a higher rate. This no doc mortgage falls in there. No income verification needed, but they're either going to qualify you based off of the debt service of the property or something else. But it's a higher risk than what they call a full doc loan. Full doc is income, credit, assets, all the things, full documentation. And nobody should get overly excited about, oh my gosh, no doc loans, no income, no assets, no job. I can get a loan. It's not 2006. That doesn't exist. There are some loans for people that, have income that they can't necessarily source or prove, or they're self-employed or something. But it comes at a cost, higher loan costs, higher rate, generally speaking, higher down payment required. All right, Joey Garessi. Is the PMI buster with 10% down conventional still a thing? Yeah, it is. And depending on what you think mortgage rates are going to do, you would do it or you wouldn't do it. Some people I've seen, you're buying out of the mortgage insurance. So if I tell you I can get you a 5.99 for a point, and it's got $87 a month in mortgage insurance with 10% down, and you're like, man, I don't want to pay the mortgage insurance. Okay, well, that 5.999 with the PMI bought out now cost you 2 points. I'm just spitballing, just generals here, but something like that would tell you exactly what it's going to look like by buying out that mortgage insurance. And there's different types of lender paid, buyer paid. You could just take the rate and slide it up to 6.25 and do mortgage insurance that way with like what's called a lender paid mortgage insurance, where they pay it off up front. So you're not paying monthly, but you're paying it up front. It's like most things. It doesn't disappear. There's no magic. It just gets paid somewhere else, either with the rate, with an upfront fee. Blows my mind how conventional rate is so much higher than FHA for so many traditional buyers. FHA seems to be winning against conventional in even some 10% down scenarios. Yeah, Joey, they were always like something you wanted to compare with 10% down or less. Now that FHA lowered their monthly mortgage insurance to 0.55, like I had somebody want to do 3% down conventional, and I showed them that versus 3.5% down FHA. It wasn't even close. At a 711 credit score, mortgage insurance, way more on conventional, interest rate, higher on conventional. And so you're right. FHA is going to be the play for a lot of people, especially with 10% or less down. Obviously, someone's putting 20% down, you're going to go conventional and not pay mortgage insurance. You can't avoid the mortgage insurance on FHA. It comes on all of them. So that would not be a thing. But fire away questions. Today I'm jumping on a 3:30, so I got to be off here soon. But next week, we're really going to dig in with some local real estate investors, talk about the state of housing, the state of some of these flips that they got going, and any other things you guys want to talk about that's real estate related. All right, 30-second countdown. If there's no questions, I'm out. I'm going to find this Ryan Lundquist. It's going to point me to it. Whereabouts? Man, my internet is not behaving today. All right, no questions. I'm out. You guys have a great day. Thanks again for joining. I appreciate the heck out of you. Adios.